you want to get behind so you can get the sound clearly?
Yes. Behind?
Behind the car. Ready?
Yes.
So guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to do an engine mount on an Acura TL, guys. So let's get started. Yes. There's one way to easily tell if your front engine mount is broken. Put it in drive. Keep your foot on the brake pedal. So while it's in drive, press the gas pedal. See that right there, the last throttle, I can feel the engine jerk really hard, and it really feels like the engine mount's broken. I know it's broken, but because I can see. Also, to tell if the rear is broken, put it in reverse. Park foot on the brake pedal, press the gas, and it feels pretty smooth. Feels like there's no jerking in the engine. So those are one easy ways to tell if your engine mounts are broken. One easy way to tell if your engine mount is broken is, see that it looks kind of wet. It's like a wet ring, right? The rubber is pretty dry around here, but then you go to this rubber, it looks wet. That's one way to tell, visually tell if your engine mount is broken. I got this engine mount from Amazon for like, I don't know, pretty cheap. Dealership, I think you can get them from like around 250 bucks, I think. So we're gonna try out this cheap Amazon one. Not sure how long it's gonna last, and hopefully it's a perfect fit. I've seen the reviews are pretty good. So the front engine mount is pretty similar to the rear engine mount. It's gonna have this little bracket that comes up over, so that way if the engine mount breaks and the engine goes up, that little bracket will stop it. So you have 4 mounting bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll have to remove those, and we'll also have the vacuum hose under here. This engine mount is fluid filled, and this, believe it or not, this actually controlled by the computer, the ECM. ECM tells when the solenoid to turn on, and it'll apply engine vacuum onto the engine mount. As most of the time that the front engine mounts are broken, most of the time your side engine mount is also broken. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to be removing this bolt right here. That way you can disconnect the connection from the engine to that side engine mount. That way it can move the engine up and down when I replace the front. There we go. All right, we're going to be using this to jack up the engine slightly. I do have this rubber pad because I'm going to be putting this right up under the oil pan, so that way I don't mess up my oil pan. Be very careful. Now you can add more rubber blocks or something, or wood. If you have wood will actually work. All right, now that we're under the oil pan, you can slightly raise up the engine. You can tell that it's going up. So start jacking it up just a little bit, and you can actually start to see that the side engine mount bracket is starting to go up too. So you see how it went up. Let's go ahead and remove the EGR piping. Also, if you have a automatic, remove your transmission dipstick. So I'm using a 12mm swivel socket. If you drop it, don't worry, you'll find it. Just keep looking. And pipes, I got 2 more 12mm bolts I gotta get, which is down there. Follow the tube down onto the catalytic converter down there, and remove the rest of the nuts. All right, I'm on the second nut. I'm gonna be removing that. Not too bad. This is what I use to loosen up those bottom EGR pipe nuts, 12mm socket. It's a 3-inch extension and a 3/8 ratchet. It's actually pretty tough to get those two bottom nuts off the EGR piping. But first we're just going to remove the engine mount, this top piece right here, 17mm extension and my 1/2-inch ratchet. Like that. There's going to be 2 nuts you have to remove. Go ahead and remove it. All right. Now this little vacuum hose you see right here, just take it off, take the bracket off and just put it aside. And just remember which way it goes. The part that's got a hump on it goes towards the engine. We have access to our 14mm bolt right there, which we're going to be removing right here. Taking this off. Also guys, I did remove my radiator bracket, which is right here. 2 12mm bolts. That way I can move the radiator back and forth. That way I have more space. Next is I'm going to grab my 14mm box end wrench. It's a longer one guys, so this will make breaking that bolt a lot easier. I got it loose now, so I'm going to use my ratcheting ratchet. I just have, give me about another hour plus I'm recording, so. All right, now that it's removed, leave it right there. All right, now all we got left is the 4 bottom bolts that we have to remove, and what we're going to use is this long extension, 14mm swivel socket. And with the swivel socket you're able to get this on every bolt. Okay.
You store tools in there?
Yes, I store my ratchet in the back of the engine. Just break it loose, just like that.
Are you sure you didn't break anything?
Break it loose, I'm sure. And put it in the back side. And get that loose also. And then we got one more. Come over here. Oh, longer than that.
I saw 5-year veteran.
There we go.
Bad. It's really loud.
And just, I got one loose. Now I just gotta get the rest of them off. Can you point down there? All right. Right here. Bolts are falling everywhere, but it's okay. At this point guys, the engine mount is actually ready to come out almost. Use my telescopic magnet to get the bolts that fill all the way down there. I don't know where the rest of them went, but I'm sure it's under the splash shield somewhere, so it's not too hard to get. I'll worry about those bolts later. I jacked the engine up a bit. You can see that this top bracket is went out. So now look at that. All right guys, look at this. Look at this, man. This is what you call a broken front engine mount. Watch this. Here it is, guys. Okay, this is what I was talking about. Bam, broken. Okay, as you can see here, this is what a broken engine mount looks like. This is supposed to be supporting your engine, and not anymore, man. This thing is done. So now we can move the engine mount around. We can actually get to the nuts that's holding the bottom of the EGR pipe. For the EGR pipe, I'm actually using this flexible snap-on 3/8 ratchet with extension and a 12mm deep socket. I think that's the most difficult part, guys, is removing that bottom EGR bolt. There's such a tight space in there. And put everything aside, like there. And I got one more bolt left. Okay, it's coming off now. Guys, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the camera off, man. It's just, you know, you can't barely see anything. All I'm doing is removing those 2 bottom bolts off the EGR pipe. All right, it should look like this. They're finally out. And grab your EGR pipe. And that's it. Now the top one will have a gasket on there. Don't lose that. Bottom one has a gasket also. It's just kind of formed in there, as you can see the copper. So the bottom one has a gasket. Don't lose that also, guys. Look how much space we got. So now what we got to do is just fish this engine mount out of here and remove the vacuum hose. Now be careful tipping this over because there's fluid inside of the engine mount and it's pretty nasty, guys. All right, as you can see, the engine mount is moving freely, but we have some obstacles in the way, like this engine mount bracket and this radiator fan. Actually, I just jacked up the engine a bit more. Look at that. That's how high the engine is jacked up right now. And I was able to bring the engine mount to its kind of on its side. And then once I did that, I stuck my hand under it. And when I stuck my hand under it, I used my middle finger and I just pulled out the hose and it popped right out. Alright guys, I'm gonna try and fish this out sideways. What I ended up doing is I'll be removing this engine mount bracket, this whole piece right here. I'm on the last bolt. Okay, engine mount bracket is out. Like I said, there's only 3 bolts that holds it in. This right. Get that out of the way. Okay, it's coming out this way then. Whew. There you have it. It's out. I'm not gonna tip this over because I don't want the fluid to spill everywhere. We're gonna match up the bolt holes. Bolt holes look pretty good. They match up, as you can see right through it. Also, let's put this on, make sure it fits. Yep, looks pretty good, guys. This is a good engine mount. I'm throwing this on. Kind of just got to work it in there somehow. All right, there we go. Whew, it's in. Now your engine mount with the hump right there is going to go, that hump is going to go towards the engine. Now before you bolt it down, make sure the vacuum hose is connected at the bottom. As you can see, there's the vacuum hose, and I'm going to be using my needle nose to install it back on. I got that bottom vacuum hose installed. It was super easy with the needle nose. Time to put everything in back on, all the bolts and everything else. So I'm going to leave the vehicle in the air. I'm going to jack up the engine just a little bit so I can move the engine mount around so I can line up all the bolts. And the engine mount should be, I can move it around, as you can see, and I can line up all the bolts, guys. What I like to do is put the bolt on the magnet and line it up to the hole. And if I can, I'll try to screw it in there. Alright guys, engine mount is pretty much done for. The bottom bolts for the EGR pipe way down there, I actually tightened them up. I ran them down from the bottom of the under the vehicle. It was way easier. From up here, I used my 3/8 ratchet, 3-inch extension with the socket, and I was able to snug them down. That's how I was able to get the bottom ones. All I got left now is to inspect this mount, make sure it's good. Now we got the bracket removed right here. You can just lift up on the skirt. Comes right off. Remember how it goes. And you look at your mount, look inside of it. I don't see any tears. What usually happens is it'll break right off the top of this, just like the front engine mount. So this one is still good, guys. Put everything back together. Sorry guys, I don't have the torque specs, but okay. All right everyone, that pretty much concludes today's video on how to replace your front engine mount. Make sure you guys like the video and subscribe, guys. That way it'll help the channel out, helping me grow. And I will say that this job was not easy. It's not easy to do. So if you're very determined to get this front engine mount done and save some money, definitely this is your way, guys. See you guys next time, and take care.